Welcome to my Analytics and Data-Driven Design showcase. I am Nikola Drousie, and I'm going to focus on Vergence, a game that I worked with my team last year, and I'm going to try to focus by myself on improving via that data. Most of the data was gathered via scripts and then sent via Discord and email, and most of the qualitative was gathered via Google Form, but we also made use of Unity Analytics, observation, and conversation. I'm going to focus on improving the game progression and the game controls, and then iterating upon those changes. And for that, in the first build, we gathered progression data points, the shots of the player, and where the mirror was placed. But we can see that in the first iteration, the game was very difficult, and no player actually completed the game. So changes. We located the puzzles that were trouble and we started improving upon them. For example, we improved the tutorial prompts for this puzzle in particular because people were seemingly getting confused. We also decreased the life of this enemy because players were not learning how to use a double side of the mirror, so we only require one side now. And for the same reason, here they didn't know how to use the double side, so the lives were completely changed so that that was not needed anymore. And we also added this for helping the player know where to position themselves. This puzzle was completely missed by players, so what we did is we lowered the fog, and we also changed the enemy from this position to make it easier to see from the rest of the level. And this puzzle was actually easy to solve when you had enough shots, but very, very difficult to solve with only one. So we increased the bullet count of that level. In the second iteration, we had a summary of the progression. We also had all the inputs that the player would take and the laser every time they would press an input, because we had a blind spot when players didn't actually take a shot and tried, for example, to solve a puzzle for 5 minutes. We didn't know where they were aiming at. This would cover all blind spots. And also the amount of times they press a key. And we can see that overall the game was a lot better, but because we also started gathering data on actions, the locking and unlocking, for example, was very confusing. So we changed the controls, and for example, we added E as interaction and right click as aiming because that was a lot more intuitive based on qualitative data. We also added a lock icon so that it was very clear when the player was or wasn't locked. And also added some controls on the UI, but removed this one because we wanted to stress test the actual new controls and not rely on this to help with the teaching of them. We also removed the fact where when you place the mirror, your aim would automatically lock, and we also added the fact that when you shoot, it would automatically take you out of aiming because players were actually moving all the time while aiming and then complaining they were moving very slow. By taking them out of aiming, they would move without aiming, which is actually faster. And we also made sure that you can pick up notes without having to stop aiming. Then we can see that overall this was a huge improvement, although we had a lot of players that stopped because of lack of time, but overall the game was still, these changes were still an improvement. So improvement for the future, based again on the progression stopper from the funnel, we can do a few changes. For example, increase the life of this enemy because players try to kill this enemy although it's not needed, and so just making his life ridiculous would help. And here the floor make these two mirrors invisible, changing that texture, and rotating this mirror at 45-degree angles would make it easier for the players to find a solution. In this one, the changes we did were not enough, so what we're going to do is remove this wall, place this warden over here to force the player to use the mirror and to know exactly where the mirror is supposed to go. At least that's the intention. And so this would solve the issue where they place the mirror at every point without knowing where to place. Also an issue with both that puzzle and others was that they couldn't see the whole puzzle at one time. So we just want to add a fixed camera that when you enter aim mode, you always see the puzzle from that fixed camera that allows you to see every single thing in that puzzle. That would help with a few of the puzzles showcased here. And then we would also re-add the automatically locking when you place a mirror, because that now that the lock is very clear, that is something that players actually want. So that would be re-added, and we also would automatically unlock after you actually take a shot, because the first thing people would always do when shooting is unlock, and also allow the players to lock and unlock at any time. And that's it. Thank you for your time and have a good day.